Hey there! Today, in this video, we will show you some interesting World War II finds, and of course, we'll tell you how they were discovered. Let's cut right to the chase. A German tractor. On September 25, 2021, in Russia, in the Novgorod region, a search party managed to pull a Wehrmacht tractor out from the Volkhov River. As it turned out, the tractor ended up at the bottom of the river during the World War II. It fell through the ice in the harsh winter of 1941. At that time, in December 1941, Soviet troops launched a counter-offensive and pushed the German troops across the Volkhov River. The searchers had previously been working on the other side, trying to find a Soviet T-34 tank, which, according to local residents, also turned out to be at the bottom of the Volkhov. The search was unsuccessful, but on the opposite bank of the river, on Spek, the group stumbled upon a German artifact. It was also possible to establish the affiliation of the tractor to a specific enemy unit. The discovery of a soldier's belt in the car made it possible. According to the brand on the buckle, the tractor belonged to the 2nd Company of the 1st Battalion, the 10th Tank Regiment of the 8th Wehrmacht Panzer Division. Also, about 40 Czech hedgehogs were found at the bottom near the tractor, as well as most mechanical components, including the radiator. According to experts, the vehicle is in good condition, despite the fact that it has been lying at the bottom for 80 years. A German truck. A lot of military equipment lies at the bottoms of water bodies and swamps. But sometimes there are also ordinary civilian cars that were used by the military to transport weapons and ammunition. Today they are of great value as there are only a few of them left. One such find was recovered from the river in very good condition, despite the fact that the car had been in the water for 75 years. Local residents showed the searchers the place where the truck was located. It turned out that many of the elderly residents knew about this car in the river since after the war in the dry summer, parts of the truck were sticking out of the water. Local residents managed to remove the bonnet from the truck and pull out the seats. Everything else was in full completeness, even the original license plate remained. The truck is currently in the process of reconstruction. Soviet Il-2 attack aircraft. We've already told you about the Soviet Il-2 attack aircraft discoveries, and here is another story about this flying tank. It got this name for its fully armored body and high firepower. The Il-2 was armed with bombs, cannons, and rockets. In December 1941, two single-seat Il-2 aircraft took off from the military airfield in Borky. The task was exploration and attack. Inexperienced 20-year-old junior Lieutenant Menshenin didn't return to the base. His leader, an experienced pilot Markovtsev, searched in vain to locate him. After some time, it became clear that the missing aircraft fell near the village of Большая Volga. The plane burned down and the pilot died. The deceased pilot was buried nearby in the woods and then reburied. Unfortunately, the exact location of his grave is unknown. After the war, local residents stole parts of the aircraft for their needs. But the searchers managed to find the most valuable. The armored capsule remained untouched. It was in excellent condition. To date, the body of the aircraft has been restored and installed as a monument next to the factory where the Il-2 was assembled during the war. The BA-10 armored car, the crew of which defended Novgorod in August 1941, was recovered on the 4th of August in Russia. A crane was installed on the bridge over the Mali-Volkhov River, which significantly affected the traffic intensity. But the drivers were very supportive. since it was the exact place where the Red Army soldiers made their last stand, protecting the bridge on their BA-10. The recovery team conducted a search that showed the presence of an object at the bottom of the river. Then, the divers went under the water and found the car. The armored car was heavily covered with silt and waste of all kinds, but it was located in the same spot where it fell into the river on August 18, 1941, lying on its roof. This was the last Iron Soldier who defended Novgorod before it was occupied by Hitler's troops. The first attempt to move the car, already freed from the bottom layers, ended with the cabin separating, but the ascent was continued. "It's no big deal," Alexander Morzunov, the commander of the Nakhodka search party, assured. "Disassembly during the restoration process is inevitable, and I do not doubt that the car will be restored and maybe will participate in military parades." It's noteworthy that at various times the search for the car has already been conducted. The previous attempt was made on 2013. Experts scanned the bottom of Malý Volchovets in the area of the possible car location, finding only wood and car tires. They decided that the car was already salvaged in the Soviet years to clear the shipping lane. And yet there was an armored car in these murky waters. The history of the BA-10 with a 45mm cannon, which was a fairly massive machine in the Red Army, is also known. According to the archival data, it belonged to the 28th Tank Division commanded by Colonel Ivan Chernyakhovsky. It fought in defense of the city in the first months of the war. The battle with the armored car participation is described in the Journal of the Military Operations of the division. On August 15, 1941, Regiment Commander Levin ordered a scout platoon leader Alexander Karlov to go to the Novgorod Defense Headquarters in the Antoniev Monastery. Having crossed the bridge over Volchovets, Lieutenant Karlov encountered the Nazis' troops. A battle ensued. Fearing that the enemy would seize the bridge, Karlov brought the armored car to the crossing and took up the defense, keeping up a steady fire. The enemy began shelling the bridge with artillery. When the wooden deck was broken, the front wheels fell through it and the car got stuck. The crew's attempts to free the BA-10 were unsuccessful. Under heavy Nazi fire, the commander ordered the crew to retreat and blew up the car with a grenade so that the enemy wouldn't get it. The crew successfully reached their home base, and the BA-10, after being shelled by the Germans, fell into the water. Vladimir Kopyshev reported that Alexander Karlov died bravely in 1942 near Мясной Bor. The fate of 3 other BA-10 crew members is still unknown. The combat vehicle was lifted in 3 parts, which were loaded into a truck and sent for restoration. Now we're waiting for the full restoration of the armored car and hope to see it go over the bridge that it had to defend 80 years ago. Thank you all for watching. Subscribe to the channel not to miss new videos.